with leading rugby league personalities such as David Oxley, Ray French, seen here with ex-Great Britain forward Ces Thompson, who has been involved with the student game since the very first match in 1967, and Fred Lindop, controller of referees and a familiar figure in student rugby league. The Lord Mayor of York got the proceedings underway before ex-Great Britain captain Bev Risman, the Student World Cup coordinator, welcomed everyone and outlined his brief.
I'd just like to say, from my point of view, welcome to everybody, and I hope you have a superb time while you're here.
He then introduced Mr. Arnold Fear, a representative of the NatWest Bank, without whose generous sponsorship the tournament would not have been possible.
NatWest is delighted to be sponsoring this, the second ever Student Rugby League World Cup.
To explain the importance of Student Rugby League to the game as a whole, here's Harry Edgar, editor of Open Rugby.
Student Rugby League offers rugby league a great opportunity to spread to a much wider audience than the game has had in the past. League has always been very limited in its audience, both geographically and in terms of the areas, social areas where the game goes. One of the positive aspects is you find many of the students who play the game playing rugby league for the first time. They've never had the opportunity to play the game in schools or in junior clubs. So they develop a great interest in the sport. They then go off, once they've qualified or got degrees, into the areas of business or commerce, or more importantly the media.
The tournament kicked off with a double-header at Eworth. A cloudburst at the start didn't affect Scotland, who took an early lead with a try from Minto, and went further ahead with this try from Pawson, which would have graced any rugby league field in the world, to lead 12-0 at the interval. They talk about the luck of the Irish, but there was nothing lucky about Ireland's second half fight back. 2 tries from Gary Burney levelled the scores, and then Sullivan was on hand to take Hewitt's clever pass and score what was to be the winning try. Ireland were home, if not exactly dry. The second game in Pool B saw the favourites Australia take on England. A good crowd saw Windmill open the scoring for the Kangaroos with a try from close range. Australia went further ahead when Carroll dummied his way over and led 10-0 at the break. England fought back well in the second half, but it took a lucky bounce to enable Atkinson to squeeze in at the corner. England scored a further try from Churn, but it was not enough, and Australia ran out winners by 18 points to 10. Wales met Holland at McLaren Field, Bramley. The Welsh soon took an early lead. Mark Oxley, the son of Rugby League Chief Executive David Oxley, is seen here scoring in the corner. Wales proved much too strong for the Rugby League newcomers and scored at will throughout the first half. The Dutch were everybody's favourites and showed their potential with a lovely try to Hengveld. Watch for the brilliant inside pass from Hans Dinkler. The friendly spirit in which the tournament was played was apparent throughout. The Irish team are seen here enjoying the game as spectators. Wales were soon on the attack in the second half. A perfect pass from Herborn and run from Williams brought this try to Gareth James. Holland scored a further try, with this tremendous solo effort from Hans Dinkler, who beat 3 would-be tacklers in his run to the line. But Wales ran out winners by 48 points to 10. We suggested to Leo van Herswinen that the experience gained more than made up for his side's defeat.
We feel it not as a defeat. In fact, the boys from Wales played the game very, very well and very fair. And but we have had now an experience, I think, more than we have had in the 2.5 months before that we were training in the Netherlands under the leading of Phil Larder and all that sort of kind people from England. But therefore I said we won not 10 points, in fact we won 100 points today. And that is that you can never say how many guilders or pounds that is for us.
At Lee Miners, New Zealand took on France, and what a game this turned out to be. France soon had points on the board when, after good work by Long, David Fraze chipped over and regathered to score between the posts. New Zealand soon hit back, and a good break by Bergman was well supported by McLennan, who crossed for his first try. In the second half, France regained the lead when quick passing from the scrum enabled Fraze to score with a brilliant solo effort out wide. France looked to have the game wrapped up when Fraze showed his senior international class by spinning out of a tackle and rounding McLennan to cap a brilliant man-of-the-match performance with a try to give him his hat-trick. New Zealand weren't finished though, and when Delbert lost the ball at the scrum, Vinnie Weir was on hand to send in Andrew Chalmers to level the scores at 20 points each, a great end to a great game.
Up on that far side
in the second round of matches, Australia met Scotland at Featherstone in Pool B. The Aussies were soon in the lead when, after a long touchline run by Anderson, Gillies was held just short and Bampton squeezed over from dummy half. In the first half, Australia gave a tremendous display of total football. Pace, quick handling and superb backing up brought this try to Madden.
Beautiful handling movement by Australia.
Australia opened up again, and this time it's Kurt Wrigley scoring his first try despite the tackle of Hay. Moments later, Wrigley showed he's the Mal Meninga of the student game, bursting through 4 would-be tacklers for his second try. Australia led 24-2 at the break. Scotland staged a remarkable second half fight back, which clearly rattled the Aussies.
In the act of passing. Referee has awarded a penalty. The Scots still in possession. They've had it for quite some time.
Substitute Sheldon, after a great run, offloads the supporting McDermott, who manages to score despite the attention of half a dozen Australian defenders. The Scots kept up the pressure, and McDermott's bomb was well taken by Hay for a try wide out. But the Aussies ran out winners by 36 points to 22.
Richard Sheldon and Duncan Wood with me. Although you lost, lads, put up a tremendous fight, especially in the second half.
Well, yes, it was, I think, to Mal's talk at half-time. We really kind of picked it up. Davey, Malcolm made some great runs, and Rich came on as a sub, which just, I think, picked up the whole team.
Richard, you came on the second half, and you're sweating profusely at the moment. How did you enjoy it?
Oh, I thought it was a really good game. We were disappointed after the Ireland match, after we thought we should have won that one, and the lads just wanted to get some pride back against Australia, who we thought before the match are probably one of the best student teams in the world, so we really give it a crack, really went for it.
Well, I have with me Peter Fox, coach of Featherstone. Peter, what did you think of the game in general?
I thought it was very entertaining. Both sides played good football at times, and the only difference was, I think, in the technique of the Aussies to the Scottish lads.
Well, most of the Scottish lads have mainly played Union, and that second half fight back was something else.
They did, they got very close, and I think if they'd have got another try when it was 28-18, then I think the Aussies would have come under pressure. The Scottish lads held back, and the Aussies came at them and didn't give them chance to move the ball away from the ruck, and one or two balls went astray for the Scottish lads. If they learned a little bit more technique, it had been very close, because the players individually were matched for size and skill and speed as individuals, but just a team effort beat them today.
I don't think we played to a pattern. We didn't play to any discipline, which is what playing the games before is all about, making sure they're right.
You look to have a couple of injuries as well, certainly the shoulder injury to the standoff half in the first half.
Yeah, Mike Lilly has busted his shoulder pretty bad. He won't play again on tour, and well, we've got a hamstring injury, but I don't think that's a problem at this stage.
On the same night, England met Ireland at Willispool, the home of Wellington Rugby League Club. England set up the point for the attack, and here we see Chris Churn, later to be named man of the series, going over for one of his 3 tries. A touch of the Gary Schofields here, as Ireland's Mike Kane intercepts on his own line and runs 90 yards for the try of the night. But England end all the aces and won convincingly by 65 points to 12. The following evening, New Zealand played Wales at Oldham. The Kiwis were first on the scoreboard. When the Welsh passing breaks down, Weir kicks through and regathers beautifully to score the opening try. New Zealand scored 5 tries in all, with this being perhaps the best. Murray Hemai shows a clean pair of heels in the 75-yard run to the line. The only Welsh try came in the second half, when powerful centre James put Simon Charles under the posts.
For France.
On the other side of the Pennines, France took on Holland at Wakefield Trinity's Bellevue ground. Star centre David Freese was soon in action, kicking over the rather flat Dutch defence to bring a try to Martial. France used a chip over to great effect. Here Forssard kicks ahead, and despite the rather blatant obstruction, France managed to get a hand to the ball first. Fraser getting on the scoring himself when he was twice involved in a move with Cyril Pons and scored at the side of the posts.
Certainly won't waste this opportunity.
All the Dutch points came in the second half to the Dinkler brothers. Hansi Senior powering through some weak tackling for their first try. When Tacken gets the ball out of a 3-man tackle, brother Cavill wrong-foots the defence to score their other try. Leo van Herswinen was delighted with his side's improved performance.
London and Dublin are not built on the same day, and it is also in the sport that England has a long tradition in the rugby league sport, and we are the newcomer, and therefore I think here on this field I watch them and I see that they have learned so much in a couple of days they have not spent weeks on it, but in a couple of days. They are growing now, and I believe that when we go in the new match for New Zealand on Monday, that maybe it is a new defeat again. But in fact, we are then still on winning hand. Keep in touch with the Dutch.
Have you had any coaching from any of the other sides in the competition? Has any of the other teams been helping you during the week?
Oh yes, a lot of people has give us help, especially the people from Australia give us a lot of advices. The New Zealand people did the same, the Scottish, the Irish people. Everybody was involved in the Netherlands team, and that is unbelievable, marvelous. You never had that in a sport. Normally there is a big competition, but in this sport everybody likes that we are a successful team. That is wonderful.
Gartland again.
In the last round of matches, Australia met Ireland at St Helens. Gartland kicked through to give Ireland the lead.
There looks to be no danger there. Gartland took the ball through once, raced onto it, chipped it again, picked it up beautifully and went over, and Ireland takes a 6-point victory.
Could a shot be on the cards? Not a chance. Australia showed why they were favourites, running in 15 tries without reply, including 4 to winger Steve Dredge.
Score here. It's the ball out. Can they hold him over? No, they don't. Australia pull the thread. Down on the right-hand touchline, just behind the goal, are some of the Scots.
The Scots are seen here in traditional dress, waiting for the start of their game against England.
England determined to push.
The last game in Pool B was between the old enemy, England and Scotland. The Scots were overwhelmed 54 points to 4, with Russ Hemsley, a second half substitute for England, finishing with 22 points to his name. The Scots' only score came when prop Rob Hull went over from acting halfback.
And he's had a try. It is. Well, good play by Scotland.
The English handling and backing up were superb, and they scored at will in the second half. Here Steve Callow gets the points, finishing off a move covering half the length of the field.
Good play by England. Good there, backing up well. Gives it to Steve Callow.
After the game, we suggested to Russ Hemsley that he must have been delighted with his performance.
Yeah, very pleased. It was the gaps came. I think I had a bit fresher legs than the lads that were on. It's very warm, and it takes a lot out of you playing for 80 minutes. So coming on with fresh legs a bit into the second half, you know, it's a lot easier.
The majority of the Scots lads had only played rugby union before competing in the tournament, and we asked Dr Malcolm Reid if he thought that the fitness level required for rugby league had been an important factor in the outcome of the game.
Fitness is very sport specific, and our fitness levels for union are quite different, and different sorts of things have to be done. It's also very tired mentally in the game. They're concentrating on all the new things that they're learning and trying to do them correctly, and it depletes them at the end of the game. You never see union players depleted in the dressing room like these people are now at the present time.
The final two matches in Pool A would stage either side of the Pennines. New Zealand entertained the Dutch at Halifax. The Kiwis opened the scoring with this try after clever play from Phil Bergman. The powerful running of the New Zealanders was much too good for the Dutch. Chalmers is seen here scoring one of his 3 tries in the match. The Dutch had obviously learned quickly in the short time that they had been in England. Keeping the ball alive and good support play are the hallmarks of rugby league. After Kramers was held just short, Hans Dinkler manages to get Hengveld over in the corner. New Zealand ran away with the game in the second half. This time it's Peter Reinsfield finishing off a move after De Golde, the skipper, had made the initial break.
Try for Peter Reinsfield. Backed up well.
Reinsfield showed tremendous pace down the touchline, and a lovely inside pass was well supported by Glenn Boyd for another New Zealand try.
It's a good tackle coming in, but it's well picked up by the second row out of the 12. There, Glenn Boyd. That was good play.
The Dinklers had become firm favourites with the English crowds. Here both are involved. This time Carroll crosses wide out and manages to get round behind the posts. The try of the game came from loose forward Andrew Chalmers with this magnificent 75-yard try to complete his hat-trick. The players posed for after-match photographs, again emphasising the tremendous spirit that the tournament had been played in. That brilliant Wigan standoff of the immediate post-war years, Cesc Mountford, was asked if he had been surprised by the standard of football from the Dutch.
Yeah, well, they played some very good football, and but I must say that much of it came from many of our mistakes, which we appear to have something that seems to happen with them. They get so excited, and somebody will drop a ball, and Dutch have taken advantage of and put on some good football.
Norton Park Widnes hosted the final game in Pool A, France and Wales knowing that a win would put them in the semi-finals at the expense of the other. A dour first half reflected the tension, with Wales holding a 4-2 lead at the break. France finally gained the upper hand when Guidicelli broke through some weak tackling to score under the posts. France sealed the game, and with it a place in the semis, with another fine solo effort, this time from Krsmanovic. So at the end of the first round of matches, the tables looked like this. Pool A was headed by New Zealand, but only on points different from France, both teams finishing with 5 points. Wales were third with 2 points, and Holland fourth with no points. New Zealand and France thus qualified for the semi-final from Pool A. In Pool B, Australia were clear winners with 6 points, from England in second place with 4 points. Ireland were third with 2 points, and Scotland with no points picked up the wooden spoon. So Australia and England qualified for the semi-finals from Pool B. The New Zealand v England semi-final took place at Doncaster. The Kiwis performed the traditional haka, much to the delight of the 1,700 spectators. The game had no sooner got started than we had some traditional English summer weather. The rain came lashing down as Bergman shot through a gap to open the scoring for the Kiwis.
To Reinsfield to Bergman.
back with 2 tries in 3 minutes to Mark Richardson. Here he is scoring his second after good work by the captain Mick Keebles. Hemsley had this penalty to make it 14 points to 4 in England's favour at the interval. New Zealand weren't giving up their hold on the trophy without a fight. They opened the scoring in the second half when Rhinesfield spun out of a tackle near the line, and Weir's conversion pulled them back to 10 points to 14. England booked their place in the final with some brilliant opportunism from Simon Longstaff. Kicking ahead 3 times, he beats 3 defenders and manages to get his hand on the loose ball first. Mick Penniston was delighted at his side's performance, but didn't New Zealand make them fight for it in the second half?
Well, they did. At half-time when we were 14-4 ahead, I thought if we could control the next 10 minutes of the second half, then we could ease away from them. But to their credit, they'd got some big, strong forwards, and they kept coming, and they put us under pressure right from the kick-off. Got the vital score, and that tested our resolve a little bit.
Simon Longstaff's try actually was the thing that gave England victory. It came at a crucial time because the New Zealanders were still well in that game. They were only sort of 4 points behind.
Yeah, but we'd noticed in the first half that they didn't have a scrum half sweeping up behind the defensive line. So it was just a case of getting someone in the right position to chip the ball through and chase. And Simon did it, and he did well to control it under, which was a greasy ball at the end.
Well, you were saying to me earlier about the crowd, a tremendous number of people here, and they gave both sides good support. Most of them delighted, I'm sure, that England have won, because there are not many Kiwi supporters here, but was that a great fillip to the team?
Well, you can see from the size of the crowd here tonight and the way they got behind both sides that student rugby has arrived in this country in a big way. And it's now there for the taking. We can take the student game wherever we want now. We can do with more teams in this country. We've got an administration and 2 development officers appointed now. So really we're at the beginning of a whole new era for student rugby league and for the game of rugby league as a whole.
The English captain Mick Keebles was also impressed with the New Zealanders' second half performance.
Yeah, they were a very strong side. They never gave up. All the lads, it was tremendous hard work off England, to get through the game as they did. We've had a couple of big wins, and obviously the backing up's been a big bonus for us, and it was carried through to tonight. The lads are playing brilliant. I'm just looking forward to the final.
Cess Mountford, the New Zealand team manager, must have been disappointed.
Well, I'm not disappointed. Somebody's got to win, and I thought England just played that bit better than New Zealand. And both teams showed that there's a good future for rugby league and university.
At Swinton, Australia met France in a disappointing game. Errors were numerous as neither side got to grips with the greasy surface. Australia had most of the play in the first half, and a mistake by Chris Manovich lets in Wrigley for Australia's second try. The Aussies wrapped the game up in the second half, when after Wrigley was held close, quick passing got Matheson over in the corner. France, lacking star centre David Fraze, never really got going, their only points coming from this penalty to Delbert. Central Park Wigan was the venue for the finals. The playoff for third place between New Zealand and France opened the afternoon's proceedings. The teams posed for photographs before the official presentations. Senior referee Charlie Tidball of Wakefield was delighted to be in charge of the game, showing once again the grand reputation of student rugby league. a very windy afternoon, New Zealand opened the scoring with a typical piece of magic from scrum half Bergman. Wrong foot in the defence and he's run for the line. France hit back straight away, showing that they had got their disappointing semi-final result out of their system. Quick handling enabled Pons to squeeze in at the corner, despite the attention of two defenders. France went further ahead when classic centre play from Fraze made this try for Rarey. It was all France now, and Fraze is involved again, somehow squeezing the ball out to enable Bernard Long to score in the corner. The score at the interval was France 14, New Zealand 4. France opened the scoring in the second half, and inevitably it was Fraze, showing all his Gallic flair, to cross for a brilliant solo try. The Kiwis pulled 6 points back when Bergman made a fine solo run and kicked ahead, managing to regather the ball despite being obstructed. This set up the position for Weir to go over from acting halfback for a converted try. France was soon back at the other end, and Fraze was twice involved in this move, which led to his second try, enabling him to finish as the competition's leading try scorer. Delbert had this penalty to complete France's scoring. New Zealand scored a consolation try to McCracken to leave a final score of France 28, New Zealand 16. We suggested to Australian coach Bill Gardner that it would be a good experience to play in a final at Central Park.
Sure will be, yeah. I think it's an experience for anybody that's involved in a final to play at Central Park in Wigan.
A place of enormous history.
Sure is, yeah. I mean, I remember years ago when I was a lad of reading about Billy Boston and those players, so, you know, it's a great experience.
How do you see the final going, Bill?
I think it'll be a tough game, as most finals are. There won't be very much in it. The team that produces the ability on the day.
Yeah. We have a strong wind blowing directly downfield today. Do you think that'll influence the way the game goes?
No, not really. Sometimes it does. But some teams like to run with the wind in the first half and defend against it. Wind changes direction, so we just have to wait and see how the afternoon progresses.
As it comes. How have you found the newcomers to Rugby League, the Dutch?
I think they've been tremendous. They've obviously hadn't had a lot of experience at the game of rugby league, but their rugby union skills have seen them in good stead. They've tried to adapt as best they can.
Do you think they've adapted well? I certainly do.
Oh yes, I do. Yes, I do think they've adapted well, and I think the Irish have adapted well also.
We reminded one of the Australian boys that Central Park used to be somewhat of a graveyard for visiting Australian teams.
As you say, maybe it is a bit of a graveyard for the Australian sides, but hopefully we can sort of put that hoodoo away.
How have you enjoyed your stay in England?
It's fabulous. Love the country. Yeah, it's a beautiful country. We've sort of seen a little bit. There's been a lot of training in the meantime, but we've got around up to the Lake Districts and so forth, and it's beautiful. Love the place. I'd like to come back one day.
Did Mike Pennison have any problems for the final?
Everybody's fit. Everybody's enthusiastic. We learnt a lot from the first game, and it should be a hell of an afternoon.
If it's half the game it was on Wednesday when England played superbly against New Zealand, it'll be a tremendous game.
Well, I think that removed any doubts, any small doubts that might have been in the players' minds about how good they actually are. New Zealand were obviously pumped up. Nobody gives the World Cup away easily, and our players rose to the occasion. And when New Zealand had a bit of a roll on in the second half, we didn't panic, and we came back strongly at the finish.
played some absolute top quality football to boot. It wasn't a scrape win at all. It was quality football.
Well, I think this is the thing that's coming out of this competition, and the sponsors and the organisers and the people who are seeing Student Rugby League for the first time are realising now that the standard is quite high. And, you know, that's going to encourage people to get involved, not only at playing level, but also as administrators and sponsors.
How do you see today's game going, mate?
Well, against all Australian sides, it's a case of don't make many mistakes. Put them under the pressure that they've been putting us over for, shall we say, the last 10 or 15 years, and then we'll see whether they can mentally stand it. But that's what we know we've got to do. We'll work to a certain game plan, obviously, because they've got such an organised defence, but we've got the sort of flair players who can create openings as well as work to a system.
We asked Mick Keebles, the England captain, what the atmosphere was like in his team's dressing room.
Well, the boys are very confident, but obviously very nervous myself, you know, playing on such a tremendous pitch. Just looking forward to getting out there and getting the game started.
Before the game, some of the personalities from the other nations gave their view of the tournament and their tip for the final.
I think the English team have probably progressed as the competition has gone on better than any of the other teams. And I anticipate that they will reverse the 18-10 result at Chewith. Longstaff has been brought into the forwards, and I think he will stiffen up the defence in the middle and limit the runs of the half-back, so I think we'll probably run from mark a little bit.
It's been a tremendous competition, two very good teams competing in the final. Should be a cracking match with the weather that we've got. It's been a good atmosphere for the last 2 weeks. The students have mixed very well, and it augurs well for 92 in Australia.
Oh, no, we started off, well, last year we had about 25 players to choose from. This year we've had 40. And considering all that, and most of them are rugby union boys, we've done very, very well. Let's hope that doubles and trebles as the years go by.
Been a very good tournament all round, you know, for the standard of rugby. To say some of the lads has never played, you know, before that. So, and as they've gone along, the other teams like Scotland, Ireland has got better, you know. And the lads, you know, who have taken over has been a very good bunch of lads, and playing standard-wise, passing the ball and that, they're getting into it a lot. The way the Aussies play, you know what I mean, it'll be a very close game, because I think the English team will definitely want to win, so they're going to come out and they will do a good defensive job, we hope, anyway. But if they let the Aussies get on top of them, they might overthrow them, you know, so much that could go the Aussies' way, but hope the English will win it.
It was a perfect afternoon for rugby as the captains led their teams out onto the field. Then came the customary poses for the official photographs. They were then presented to the Mayor of Wigan, representatives of the sponsors, the NatWest Bank, and leading rugby league officials.
Hello. Referee.
You got it, Australia.
And we'll just be on the line watching him. Oh well, we've got a bit. I've got the yellow one, and Mike's got the red one. Although I've got a red fluorescent, so absolutely yes. Hello there. Hello, Nigel Gates.
Hello there, Russell Hans.
Oh yes.
Sean Davidson.
Yes, very enjoyable.
Referee Hickenbeck of France blew his whistle and the 1989 NatWest Student World Cup final was underway. The game itself was a fine example of planned tactical rugby. England had the early pressure, and when Australia were caught offside on their 25, Russ Hensley gave England the lead with the penalty goal. Australia hit back strongly and were unlucky not to score when Cooper charged down Longstaff's clearing kick, only to see the ball just go dead. Australia finally took the lead when Wrigley latched onto Clancy's inch-perfect kick to score in the corner. His 6th try of the tournament, equaling David Fraser of France as the competition's leading try scorer. England pressed strongly, and only last-ditch tackling by Australia kept them out. Wave upon wave of English attacks failed, until Emsley took the initiative and coolly dropped a goal from acting halfback. England were unlucky again when Hensley's fine kick just failed to get Colin Atkinson in at the corner. When Australia hit back, Beecroft was hauled back when seemingly over the line. Just on half-time, Paul had this touchline kick to stretch Australia's interval lead. The score then at the break was England 3, Australia 6. Australia opened the second half in stunning style. Excellent support play and strong running led to this try to Ogden, who uses the handoff on Churn to particularly good effect. England attacked strongly through the second half, but the Australians' defence proved more than adequate. Simon Heslop is the player held short on this occasion. More attacks from England floundered on the solid rock-like Australian defence. When the ball is moved out quickly, Hensley's crossfield kick beats everyone to just roll dead. England should have had a try when substitute Steve Carter and prop Simon Orr combined well to set Mark Richardson on what seemed like a try-scoring run, but he lost the ball as he was touching down. England's only points of the second half was this penalty from Russ Hensley. Tremendous scenes from the Australian camp greeted the final hooter. Australia had proved once again that from schoolboy level to senior international, they are the team to beat. England had run them close though, in a game that had been a fine advert for student rugby league. As Australia celebrated with the cup, it was left to England, France and New Zealand to reflect on what might have been. But for a drop pass here or a missed tackle there, it could have been any one of those teams lifting the trophy. For Scotland, Ireland, Wales and Holland, it was a wealth of experience gained, no doubt to take with them on their travels and hopefully down under for the next tournament in 1992. The end of tournament dinner was a tremendous social occasion, David Oxley describing it as one of the best nights he'd had in rugby league. Here, Hoos Tacken receives the Player of the Tournament trophy.
I'm very proud of getting this plate, honored as a captain and as a person who. But I think it's very important to have fun, be very serious, get drunk, play rugby league, and at the end of all, be yourself. And I would say thanks to all the Dutch lads, thanks to all the rugby players. We had a really, really good time, and we're hopefully to see you all back again.
There were presentations to everyone, including the ladies. Here we see them all receiving flowers to a rousing chorus of tulips from Amsterdam.
There is one other lady who we simply couldn't have put this competition on without. She has a long title, something like the Assistant Manager, Sponsorship and Community Affairs, but we simply know her as indispensable. And will Barbara come up now and receive this cut glass ball from the Rugby Football League? Barbara.
The players, now obviously in high spirits, gave Barbara a rousing send-off. Here she is seen receiving a cut glass decanter from Rugby League Secretary David Oxley.
Go home with fond memories of this competition, and this is a wonderful surprise. Thank you very much.
As the players left for home with their memories of the competition and new friendships that would last a lifetime, we asked Bev Risman for his memories of the tournament.
Well, memories are from first to last, I think. From the moment all the 8 teams arrived in York for the initial launch to the moment that it finished for the gala dinner in Wigan at the end of the tournament. It was a magnificent tournament from my point of view. Every match had something to offer. The grand final was a great competitive game, and the 7th and 8th place playoff between Holland and Scotland was a great advert for the developing countries in the game. All matches were in a great spirit, and I really think that great credit is due to all the teams, all the managers, for everything that they did throughout the tournament. There was tremendous discipline, great fun, and a marvellous occasion. I was absolutely thrilled with everything that went on, and delighted that most people seemed to enjoy it, and the whole thing was a success.
The tournament had obviously been a success. Here's Rugby League Chief Executive David Oxley.
Well, if anyone was silly enough not to understand how important the student movement is to this game of rugby league football, surely after that magnificent World Cup there can now be no doubters. You see, what we've lacked in rugby league in the past, particularly in comparison with our main rivals, rugby union, are young people who go out to the four corners of the world and become leaders in industry and commerce and administration, in the civil service and the armed forces, who have rugby league in their hearts. We have now a body of fine young men who will do just that for us. And with the appointment of Bev Risman and Malcolm Reid as full-time organisers of student rugby league football in this country, I know that the future of our game in these terms is very, very secure indeed. And over the next 2 decades, young students coming into our game either as players, and some of them will become star players, believe me, because the standards are so high, but particularly as administrators and people who have got rugby league in their hearts, is going to be vital to the future development of this game in this country and worldwide.
I think the World Cup was a great publicity vehicle for doing that, because it gives the students an incentive to become involved. And I think that rugby league has to spread its boundaries and has to attract more people, more capable people. And I honestly think that the easiest way, or the most relevant way to do it, is through students.
The Student Rugby League is on the up and up. There are lots more people playing it. The Student World Cup in 1992 in Australia is going to be the peak to which people will be aiming for in the future. And I'm really looking forward to the next few years, because I'm sure that Student Rugby League is going to have a great impact on the game of rugby league as a whole.